Hello friends of Powerhouse Bakery and all my favorite divas and dudes. My name is Suzanne Parker and welcome to Powerhouse Bakery. I'm the founder and CEO of this crazy little bakery where we love to show the world that healthy can taste amazing. And I have this beautiful lady with me today who is one of my interns turned into employee because we loved her so much. Studying to be a dietitian and just really great to have her with us because when we like to show people healthy, we like to really give them all the nuts and bolts. And today we are going to celebrate the Mediterranean diet and what could be more appropriate that Miss Nicole Curry's family lives the Mediterranean eating style. So Nicole, tell us a little bit about your mom and dad and kind of your heritage.
So my dad immigrated to Mexico City when he was 2 years old, and that's where he met my mother. But his mother and his father, they're both from Lebanon and Syria. So his mother was from Syria and the father was from Lebanon. So yeah, they lived in Syria their whole lives and they just were brought up eating all these foods. And when they moved to Mexico, they just kept the same diet. And then he met my mother, and then they then immigrated to the United States, and I was just born here. But I've grown up eating like the Mediterranean diet and the Mexican diet together. But just so much variety, and it's amazing. Like, you get so much flavor, and it's honestly very great, like, for just anyone who just wants to eat healthy.
I love it, and it's full of history and culture, and I love that your mom's sort of influence is also a little bit Mediterranean because, of course, the Mexican influence is from Spain, and so that's certainly part of that whole culture.
Definitely.
And so one of my dishes that I wanted to learn a little more about, and I kind of did a hint of this in my cookbook, if you own that, Elevate the Palate. And this beautiful dish I found, and it's absolutely gorgeous. How do you pronounce it, Nicole?
FOUL-MOUDAMMAS.
Okay. So your brother has a very interesting name. How do you pronounce it?
It's Yodette.
Yodette.
Yeah, that was my grandfather's name.
And I love that. And of course, her name is a little more traditional.
Nicole.
Yeah. But I love the names and the way that the dishes are pronounced. It just sounds cultural. And so what really drew me in was this dish was actually served sometimes as a breakfast in Egypt. Is that right?
Yes, all over the Mediterranean, this is a very popular dish. They all make it differently. They all have like their specific spices, but over there in the Mediterranean, this is a staple.
Have you ever been somewhere in Europe, in the Mediterranean region?
I have not been able to. I hope so soon, but yeah, I can't wait for that day to come.
I know, me too. I did spend some time in France, so I got a lot of my early influence of cooking with the French culinary tilt. But I think that the Mediterranean eating style is here to stay. So many nutrition experts and physicians and just foodies are really looking to the Mediterranean pyramid as a way to help us kind of go back to the basics, eating more from the earth and understanding what makes food healthy as just simple ingredients rather than highly processed foods. We know we've learned that processing and changing foods from their natural state has a lot of risk because it takes away some of the nutrients. And so tell us a little bit about this dish, Nicole, and how your family uses it.
So, it's, like you said, it's a breakfast food. It's very easy to prepare. It's very simple. We use the fava beans. You can either pre-cook them, or buy the canned like pre-cooked version, or you can just cook up your own like raw beans and just prepare it like that and add in your own spices. But here we have some the canned version, and it already has some added spices and everything to it.
I love that. Well, and there's actually another name for the fava bean, the broad bean. And so when I did some hunting, I figured that it's actually the same bean. It might be slight variation, but nowhere on the package does it call it the fava bean.
Yeah.
But I did read a little more of the horticultural background of the fava bean, and it is in fact also called the broad bean. So this is that one. So show me the canned beans that we are going to use today.
So it's going to be these. Here on the can it says the Fava Beans Lebanese recipe.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, they're already prepared. We can just easily, should we open one up?
Yeah, let's open them up. I love it. And so what we're going to do is build. What is exciting is this recipe is pretty darn simple. And so it's something that I'm absolutely going to learn how to make in my kitchen. So when Nicole was telling me that her family does this. I wanted her to tell us kind of some of the techniques that her mom is now doing that she's learned a lot from, I guess, her husband.
Yes.
So walk us through kind of what you're going to do.
So basically we're just gonna have to only chop up our veggies. We're just gonna some parsley, some tomatoes, some onions, and some garlic cloves. And once we get it all chopped, we're just gonna put the fava beans in the pot here, and we're gonna. So the way I make it at my house, we make it into a soup. The original FOUL-MOUDAMMAS recipe, it's not a soupy version, but the only difference that we do like at my house is we add some water to it just so you can eat it as a soup.
Oh, good. So a little more brothy. And you were saying that the flavor in the bean. Let's go ahead and start putting them in.
Yeah.
You said the flavor in the canned is already has some good flavors added, but if we were to start with the broad bean, or if you find a package that actually says fava bean, would we need to soak these overnight?
Yes, you would.
Okay, so soak them overnight, and then you could add in the cumin, you could add in some fresh whole seeds if you wanted, the cumin seeds, coriander, garlic, after you let them soak, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to open up all these cans?
Yes.
And we're going to pour them in with the juice?
Yeah, you can retain the juice, or you can add some, and since it has some spices and some, you can add it for some extra flavor.
Okay. Now I know you said your mom will sometimes use the chickpeas also. And
yeah,
so
she just likes to add a
that's an
little
interesting
chickpea flavor
twist.
to it.
I love that. All the time when I cook with beans, I have found that you can absolutely mix and match. They all have a little different nuance in texture as well as flavor. And so I love that this is something that your mom does too. And so I did some research on fava beans, and I found that, of course, just like any bean, they are loaded with nutrients. In 1 cup of fava beans, it's 187 calories, 33 grams of carbs, less than 1 gram of fat, 13 grams of protein, 9 grams of fiber, and then check this out. The minerals are so good in beans, right? 40% of the daily value of folate, 36% of manganese. Of course, magnesium is also high, 18% of your daily needs, 22% of your daily needs. And this is just in 1 cup of this amazing little bean. 22% of copper, 14% of the iron that you need for the entire day is in 1 cup of fava beans. So truly, when the Mediterranean folks start their day with this as a breakfast, it is awesome. I'm so excited to make it part of my routine. And so did you and your brother grow up with having this as a breakfast before you'd go off to school?
Yes. Yeah, my mom would, since she didn't want to wake up at 6 in the morning to make this whole dish, she would make it at night. And that's last night we did it too, and she'll leave it in the bowls ready for us, and we just heat it up in the morning and have it, and it's delicious and healthy, and it's just a great way to start your day.
Oh my gosh, so cool. Now I noticed that there's this creaminess on the top, and that's just the starch from the beans, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it looks so beautiful.
And you can already smell all the spices.
Yeah, I noticed, I read the ingredients, and it has a little bit of citric acid, which is, AKA lemon juice or lime juice, and a little bit of salt. And so, yeah, this is just a beautiful bean. And when I noticed the dried bean, it is kind of a yellow color. So I'm going to guess that there are different nuances of maybe varieties of the bean. Do you think?
It looks very similar, but there might be a difference between the broad bean and the fava bean.
Yeah, well, it said on the internet that they were the same. And you know that anything on the internet is true. But okay, so that looks gorgeous. What's next? Oh, we got 1 more can, okay. And so normally when you do the garlic, you have a garlic press.
Yes.
And so when I was in France, they taught me how to use the back of the knife and press. So you liberate all the wonderful juices from the garlic when you press it. And so whether you use a garlic press or the back of the knife, you get all those wonderful juices exposed. So how many cloves do we need to add into our pot of beans?
We usually make it with 6. Over there we love garlic.
Yes.
We love our garlic. Most of our dishes contain garlic, but you can add as many cloves or garlic as you want to your liking.
Yeah.
But 6 would be good with this recipe. You can add more if you like.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm glad there's some customization
Yes.
that's allowed. That's one thing I love about home cooks is you kind of just know your family, you know what the palate preferences are, and so you get to adjust recipes. And if any of you have ever been to one of my live cooking classes, that's one of the first things I talk about is you've got to know your spices so you can really adjust it and pop up the flavor when you know you're ready for it, or maybe soften the flavors if your tummy's not feeling it that particular day or week. So I'm just pressing these down and again liberating all those flavors. You know, garlic is loaded with a very powerful anti-inflammatory antioxidant called allicin. I always remember that because of course it sounds like a lady's name too, but it's one of those just ancient spices that people know has nutritional value. Not to mention it tastes so good.
Yeah, adds so much flavor.
Yeah. Is this enough? Can I put it in?
We're gonna add this at the end because we're gonna have to press it here with some salt. And
That's right.
that's actually the last step here.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
You're in charge. You tell me what's next.
So we can add the water right now because
Okay.
we're gonna want this to start to heat up, and once it starts to boil is when we're gonna turn it off and add in all our veggies.
Oh, I love it. So this is so different. Even in the French cooking style, you saute the garlic first, and then you put all the other ingredients in. So yay, I'm so glad I get to learn something new.
Yeah, it is usually like that, but right here we're trying to make it into a paste. So with the added salt that we're gonna put here, when we're pressing it together, it's gonna make it into the paste.
Yeah.
And that's what we add at the end, and it's a different flavor.
So tell us about the one you have at home. We just bought this one. And so tell us about the mortar and pestle that you use at home.
So the one I have at my house is probably like 10 times the size of this. It's a heavy rock. I don't know what material or what kind of a
It's
rock.
probably stone.
It probably is stone. Yeah, it's very heavy. That's all I know. But yeah, when we make all our recipes, we use that big one, and we just smash it with like also the rock handle. But yeah, this is the only thing I found at the store, unfortunately, right now. But it will do for now.
It does work. I mean, it's a really pretty wood, so you know we're not going to want to let it go into the dish pit too often.
Yeah.
But same idea. So the mortar and pestle is again ancient, and whether we're using the back of the knife or a garlic press or a mortar and pestle, the whole idea is when you crush the outside cells, you get all the flavors. It makes me think of when we did the tea series, and when we were learning how the flavors were liberated and the antioxidants of the green teas were really liberated when they roll the tea leaves and they quote unquote bruise the edges, which then actually activates all those antioxidants.
Oh, wow.
And so it's the same idea when you cook things, you're able to liberate some of those nutrients, and granted you do kill off some of them if you do a lot of cooking, so there's that little sweet spot, which is why I love that you mentioned that we're going to put the herbs and all the flavors in at the end of cooking.
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
so we're
let's
gonna put this to boil.
yeah, I'll bring it over for you. I'll bring it right over to the stove. And how long should I let it boil?
So it might take a while to heat up, but that's why we're gonna just chop up all the veggies. So once it boils, we turn it off and add in all the veggies. So we gotta get chopping now.
Let's get chopping. I love it. So I did, I think maybe I did 4 cloves.
Yeah.
Just by looking at it, how much do you think how much more do we need?
We can add probably one more.
One more?
Yeah,
All right. And so while I'm doing this, tell me about some of our other ingredients that are on the table.
So this is the onions, the Roma tomatoes, and the parsley. This is all what we're gonna add to the fava beans. Right here we also have some fava ganoush, which is what we're gonna serve at the end with some pita bread or some veggies that we also have. We have some Persian cucumbers and some mini sweet bell peppers. So we always like to have a lot of veggies on the side.
I love that condiments are kind of the thing.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell us what's in Fava Ganoush.
It's just eggplant, and you just add some olive oil, some salt, and you can add some lemon. Some people like some lemon, but it's very simple, just eggplant, and it's very similar to hummus, but hummus is, as we know, made out of chickpeas, and Fava Ganoush with eggplant.
So you roast the eggplant. You probably leave the skin on. I have made it, but it's been a while. Leave the skin on, roast it, and then scoop out the center.
Yes. I was gonna say the skin isn't in the actual Fava Ganoush, but we roast it all together.
Because this is such a beautiful light color.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's so creamy and luscious. And so there isn't any oil added to it?
No, just on top. I just added a little bit of olive oil to garnish.
Oh, that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And so then, what kind of olives do we have?
And then here we have some Kalamata olives.
Let's grab them. Let's look at
Yeah.
those a little closer. Because these are really dark.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I see Kalamata olives that are kind of an amber or a deep red color.
Yeah, these.
And these have the seed in there. Yeah, so they still have the seeds. We have to be careful when we bite into them.
Mm-hmm.
So when you set up your plate, you're going to have a little bit of the olives, a little bit of the baba ganoush, and then tell us a little bit about that bread.
Oh, so pita bread over there in the Mediterranean, that's our tortilla.
Yeah,
like tortilla
right.
here. So pita bread, I mean, we can make wraps.
Mhm.
Or we just eat it with everything. So on the soup, if
beautiful.
you want, you can just have it on the side, or just you can put some baba ganoush on top of it, or add some olive oil and some spices, or just like however you like. But pita bread is great.
So in the morning when you had it, like before you're heading off to school, would you have the cucumbers and even some of the baba ganoush?
Yes, my mom would just leave that all on a plate, some soup already in its bowl, and then a plate full of some veggies and some baba ganoush and some pita bread. We also actually have some kefir cheese, it's called a labneh, and over there that's the yogurt that they use, and you can dip it in,
Okay.
or you can eat it with the olives. So my mom would sometimes actually just put some of the labneh inside of the pita bread and add some olives in it, and it's actually very good. One of my
Wow.
favorite snacks.
Is it sweetened?
No, it's actually not. There's no sugar added to it. It tastes like a normal yogurt, but it's more thick.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's
That's what
look at
makes
the
it
ingredient list. I'm so curious because I know you bought these from a specialty store, right?
Mhm.
The Alibaba.
Alibaba, yeah, it's an international food store. It used to be only Arabic products, but now they have all of the. I mean, they have a bunch of different countries like products in there. It's grown. The store used to be very small when I moved here with my parents. I remember always going in as a kid.
Yeah.
But it's bigger now, and they have a lot more options to pick from.
Well, what I think is interesting is a lot of the foods that you brought for us don't have the same label. And I mean, some of it is even in another language.
Yeah, I know. When I went to the store, I was a little confused too, and it was actually like when I came to realize that the fava beans, there's different recipes for it. So I remember seeing there was a Moroccan recipe.
Mm-hmm.
There was also Jordan recipe, an Egyptian recipe. So and that's why I was saying I think they have different spices added to the cans.
Yes, for sure. I mean, for the FOUL-MOUDAMMAS, there's different recipes for
Yes.
those different regions.
Mm-hmm.
Any idea what makes them different?
Probably the spices. I would
Right.
just say the spices because it's all fava beans. I mean, this is just pure fava beans with some spices and a little bit of olive
Do you know
oil.
what they would do differently in one region? Like how make it spicier, like hot peppers?
Maybe in like Moroccan they probably add more chili powder.
Ah.
So it might be a little extra chili kick to it.
That reminds me of a class I did, spices from around the world. And Moroccan, they do love to do sweet spices.
Yes.
They use cloves and coriander and even allspice and star anise. So I don't know if they put it in their FOUL-MOUDAMMAS, but I sure want to find out.
Yeah, next time we can look at the ingredients, but I'm sure it's all the spices that are just a little bit different, but it's generally the same flavor at the end.
And now check this out. This when we look at the ingredient list, it does tell us cultured, pasteurized grade A milk, cream, skim milk, whey protein concentrate. So it even has protein added. Ooh, how cool is that? Salt and pectin. So unlike your typical American yogurt, this does not have any sugar, which I love, that it does not have any sweetness. And when we look at the nutrition facts panel, there's always some confusion on yogurt because of the lactose.
Mm-hmm.
The lactose is sometimes counted as a carbohydrate. Sometimes it's blended in with the total sugars. So I love here that it's very clear. In 2 tablespoons, you get 2 carbohydrates and 1 gram of sugar. And so that sugar is really from the lactose.
Yes.
Super interesting. And look, they've even added the live cultures. So, that makes the yogurt good. Sometimes yogurt will have thickeners. Can you think of some? Like they might add maybe that, but for sure pectin and gelatins. This one does not have that. And I always say when you're looking for a really good quality yogurt that is a true probiotic, you want to have one that helps to build the healthy bacteria in your gut. And so you don't want the thickeners that are, not natural. Instead, you want the thickeners that are active yogurt cultures.
Yeah.
So this is cool. And then look at that. It even has a real California milk product. So even though it looks like it's very much from another country.
Yeah, this is written in Arabic.
Arabic, okay.
Yeah, and it's actually read backwards, so it's read from right to left.
Do you know what it says?
No.
Oh, but
One
you do
day
speak Spanish.
I will. I do speak Spanish, yes.
I love that. I wish. Je parle français alors. Je ne parle pas en espagnol alors.
French.
But yeah, so this is great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's set up a plate, shall we?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So, did I cut up everything that you need for it?
That looks perfect. Yeah, I mean, should I start chopping up the...
Oh yeah. We need some tomato. Because I know in the picture there was just a beautiful blend of the peppers, and then of course we had the parsley on the top too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna pull the parsley for us while you do the chopping. And we got beautiful fresh parsley. I just feel like parsley is not used enough, guys. I mean, here in San Antonio, we know cilantro really well, but dang, I love the freshness of parsley. It's just gorgeous and loaded with nutrients. Whenever we want to heal a sick tummy, parsley is the answer. And anytime we want to add just a little pizzazz of freshness, oh my gosh, it smells so good. Parsley is just a fantastic green veggie that's loaded with antioxidants. Yeah,
most of the foods over there, parsley, they use it for everything. Like in Mexico, cilantro is a staple. Over there, parsley.
That's so interesting. Yeah, the Mediterranean. You know what else is interesting in the northern regions of the Mediterranean? So, of course, France and then even Italy, tarragon is an interesting spice. So now you're making me really want to learn more about the Moroccan nuances of a traditional dish like the FOUL-MOUDAMMAS, because I bet there would be so good to experiment. So while you're chopping the tomatoes, I will get our plates ready. So you said your mom normally does the meal on a plate or in a bowl?
For the FOUL-MOUDAMMAS, since we make it into a soup version, that will go in the bowl.
Okay.
Yeah. If we didn't add the water, we could make it as a dish, so on a plate.
Gotcha.
But then on the plate, that's where we would usually just add our vegetables, our pita bread, and our pepper yogurt.
And so I love how you cut the pita also. You made it in these beautiful little triangles. And you said at home you would use scissors, is that right?
Oh yeah, it's just easier to cut it.
And that's something that's not common, in the traditional kitchen here in the U.S. We don't really have kitchen scissors. So I love the fact that you could do that, because truly when you've got your herbs, it's perfect to do snips of fresh herbs rather than chopping them. That does bruise them. And while sometimes the bruising is good around the edges when you want to liberate some of those wonderful antioxidants, other times it will turn them brown. So we don't always like that. All right, so now I've got what else should I put on our beautiful plate?
So we can add some Fava Beans on the side.
Okay, so Fava Ganoush on the side.
Put some of our legumes.
Okay, and the peppers are going to go right in the pot, right?
I mean, no, the peppers, we eat the peppers on the side. Ooh, yes.
Okay, so we can put those on our dish. So pretty. I love the colors. Wow.
So many different vitamins and nutrients.
Yes, and I always say the eyes eat first. If we're looking at a beautiful dish that's got texture and just bright colors and everything looks fresh, of course we're going to be a lot more interested in trying it. Whenever I have young kids that are afraid to eat new foods, if we just make them fun in small pieces and bright colors, and sometimes just serving them cold, they love it. Do you have any younger cousins that are picky and have learned to like some of the cultural foods?
Actually, since I don't know if it's the Mexican culture or the Arab culture, both of them, but my parents always just would say you don't get up from this table until you finish your food. But so all my siblings, I have 2 younger brothers. They're 9 and 10, and they eat everything.
They love everything.
They love their veggies. Yeah, they'll eat their candy, and they're like, oh, we just want some like broccoli or some veggies, and they love all this food too.
That's great. Well, are we ready to bring over our pot so we can do the final touches?
Yes.
Oh no, before we do that, let's serve the one that you brought from home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's get that. I'll bring it over.
We're making it exactly how I did it yesterday.
So show us how we do it before we're out of time. probably don't need to cut up any more tomatoes for our little sample here. So show us how it's done.
So
I brought over.
we have the parsley. Can we just chop it up a little bit more?
Yeah, you've got the knife, so.
Oh. Let's do half.
So just look how beautiful this is.
It's
so this is the one that your mom and you made, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to start putting it in our little bowls. And this yummy broth is what we soaked up with the wonderful bread, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that looks so pretty.
It's so much flavor.
Mm-hmm. And again, you don't necessarily heat it up, because sometimes you can eat it room temperature.
Yeah. I'm more of someone who likes to have like their warm soups, but you can definitely eat it cold if you like.
Oh yeah, that
no
looks
flavor is lost.
So pretty. And so, do you ever add olive oil to the top?
We already, so at the end when we add our garlic, we also add some olive oil on top of the broth.
Okay.
But if you would like, you could add some.
Well, before we run out of time, I want to make sure we get to see this beautiful finished product. So here we go, our FOUL-MOUDAMMAS with our side of some cut veggies and the beautiful bread and the baba ganoush. Wow. We're going to finish it off with a little bit of chopped tomato and your parsley. And that's going to just go a little bit right on the top, right?
Yeah, we can add a little. Should I add a little?
Yeah, put it on. Please do. So if you are enjoying these videos, please like us on Facebook and just give us a thumbs up so that we know what you're thinking. And anytime you have some requests that you'd like to have us do here at Powerhouse Bakery, I'd love for you to give us that information as well, because we are here to serve you, and nothing makes us happier than to get to share healthy with you guys. And so give us feedback and let us know what you're thinking. Thanks so much for joining us today. Now we get to eat some FOUL-MOUDAMMAS. Thanks. We'll see you soon.